version here of the RevZilla TV, tearing it up and getting dirty on the new Triumph Tiger 800 XCX. New for 2015, Triumph upgraded the protection, suspension, and also introduced an all-new electronics package aimed at riders looking to tackle adventure as well as a daily commute. We're going to talk about what I love about this bike. We're also going to hit on some points where Triumph has missed the mark, and then we're going to tackle modifications that you can make to create one of the meanest dual sports on the market. Let's release this Tiger into the wild, and we're going to see what you can do. So for 2015, Triumph has updated the entire Tiger 800 lineup. The street version is going to get redubbed the XR, while the more dirt-worthy Tiger remains the XC. Now, the XC is going to get an upgraded WP suspension as well as an all-new electronic throttle-by-wire system. For those of you out there that want the most performance possible, there's also going to be an X package, and that's what I opted for, the 800 XCX. Now, what this is going to give me over the base XC is going to be different rider modes, adjustable throttle controls, electronic cruise control, and an upgraded protection package to make this Tiger super dirt-worthy. So to be able to test this in both on-road and off-road conditions, we came up here to Bald Eagle Mountain for Alt Riders Can Serve the Ride event, where we can really put this Tiger through its paces. Now the street version, the XR, that's going to be aimed at a wider road market, but the XCX is going to be left sharpening its claws with one foe in mind, the BMW F800 GS series. Now the Tiger has long been known as the better street performer of the two, and with the new WP suspension as well as the throttle-by-wire system, it's going to give BMW a run for the money in the dirt as well. Now I've ridden the old 800 XC, and I've spent the last 6 months tearing around on a BMW F800 GS. I'm excited to know how this XCX fares against its predecessor as well as its competition. Now, over the past few weeks, I have logged a ton of miles on this bike because it just begs to be ridden. So we're gonna go out, we're gonna hit the pavement, I'm gonna show you exactly where this Tiger digs in. So we're starting off pounding the pavement where this Tiger has been known to dominate the middleweight market. Now for 2015, the engine remains the same. It's gonna be a 799cc inline triple engine that's gonna give you power all over the rev range. What that means for you is you're gonna have power from 5,500 RPM up to the red line, spinning like a sport bike, and down low, this thing is gonna haul like a tank. Watch what happens when I drop this into 5th gear, and I'm gonna let go of the throttle completely. Drops down to about 25 miles an hour, 20 miles an hour, it's simply gonna keep going. Drop down a few gears, spin back up, and it's exactly where I wanna be. Now I know there's a lot of you out there that are concerned that a middleweight adventure bike, it's not gonna be enough power for you, your passenger, as well as your gear. So what I did, I loaded this up with 80 pounds of gear, took off for the weekend, and in 48 hours I tackled over 1,000 miles. Then ended up back in Philadelphia, threw a passenger in the mix, and this Tiger didn't bat an eye. It's gonna be able to handle any road you throw its way. Now, second thing on this bike that I love, upgraded to a WP suspension. WP is known for giving KTM their advantage both on-road as well as off, and Triumph is going to benefit from their years of knowledge and experience. Up front, you're looking at compression as well as rebound adjustments. In the back, preload as well as rebound. And look at this, as we head through these twisties, you're going to be able to hit curves just like this one with no problems or questions. 8.7 inches of travel up front and 8.5 inches at the rear means that you can tackle the most aggressive off-road situation with this bike. In that little twisty section we just went through, it's going to be able to tear it up just the same. Now the one thing I was super concerned with, and I was actually prepared to hate it, the throttle-by-wire system on this bike. Now I've ridden the previous generations of the throttle-by-wire. Triumph with the Tiger Explorer as well as with the Trophy had a lot of problems. It was one of the most abysmal throttles I've ever ridden. The exact opposite is true of the XCX. I'm going to say this is probably one of the best throttles in motorcycling today. Now that doesn't mean that this throttle doesn't take some getting used to. It does. But you give it a couple days, get used to the feel, and you're going to love it as much as I do.
God, I love tearing it up on the pavement with this motorcycle. The updates to the suspension and the throttle-by-wire system are huge additions for 2015. There's no hiding the fact that I'm becoming quite smitten with this Tiger. Now, I've spent the past 10 years riding and wrenching on more motorcycles than most people get to in a lifetime. I know what I like and I know what I don't like. And while I think Triumph has made some great upgrades to this motorcycle, there are a few key points where I feel like they've missed the mark. First and foremost, while the overall performance has really gone through the roof with this bike, so is the weight. I mean, we're talking about a bike that's up almost 15 pounds over last year's model. That's gonna be a 490-pound bike to ride around off-road. That's a little bit heavy. Secondly, the rubber on this bike. Triumph has decided to ship us this with Bridgestone Battle Wing tires. It's like a 95.5 tire for a bike that's intended to go off-road. Honestly, you're gonna have to upgrade the rubber. Finally, I think Triumph did a huge upgrade with the overall electronics package, but the interface to control those electronics, it's just confusing, and honestly, it's counterintuitive. Now, we could stand here and we could talk about this all day long, but there's no fun in that, and it only paints half the picture. So let's go out, let's get dirty, and I'll show you exactly what I'm talking about.
So we're here off the beaten path to discuss the places where I think Triumph has missed the mark with the XCX. Now, first and foremost, I'm a guy that likes the basics. And what that means is that the addition of electronics to any motorcycle is gonna make me a little bit leery. So while I love the throttle-by-wire system that Triumph has given me with this, I find the electronic interface to be downright confusing. So what do I mean by that? Well, let's say I have this set up for off-road like I'm doing right now. I then take a break, turn the bike off, fire it back up. Look at that, it's reverted to a road mode. Now, if I'm not paying attention, I go to romp on it, thinking that it's still in off-road mode, and look at that, the traction control's kicking in, and it's tossing me all over the place. Now, that's gonna be nerve-wracking for veteran and new riders alike. So the second place where I really think Triumph has missed the mark with this is gonna be the weight. It's up almost 15 pounds over last year's model, and we're talking about just shy of 490 pounds wet. I'm a big guy, I'm 6'3", about 215 pounds. I still have a hard time wrestling this thing around off-road. Now, a lot of that has to do with where it wears its weight. Up top, the gas tank is gonna be above the center of gravity in this bike, and it's gonna be a little bit top heavy. Now, you might be saying, well, hey, some of that weight is gonna come in from the overall protection package. Absolutely, but then beef up the protection you give me. Look at these handguards, they're plastic, they're flimsy, the same ones I have on the XRX. That's a street bike. Then I've got the engine crash bars. They barely cover the bottom of the engine, and the skid plate, while the skid plate is a huge upgrade over the sump guard on the base model, this skid plate doesn't even cover the rear shock. I want Triumph to cut weight, but I don't want them to cut it from the protection of the bike. I want a bike so beefy, I have no problem crashing it off-road. Now, there's a guy out there that's not afraid to drop his motorcycle, and that's Bear Grylls. You've seen the ads. Old Bear's out there in the jungle tearing it up on his XCX. You happen to check out the tires he was using? He was using Metzeler Karoo 3s, an excellent 70/30 tire. However, Triumph has shipped me this bike with Bridgestone Battle Wings. This gravel road that I'm on, it wouldn't even be able to handle this. But I swapped the tires out, put a nice aftermarket tire on, and now this bike can handle it with ease.
So I love wrenching on bikes almost as much as I love riding them. And here at RevZilla, good isn't great, and making things better is in our DNA. So here are some thoughts on how you can improve your Tiger XCX. First things first, the rubber on this bike has got to go. It only took me 1,000 miles to realize that these Bridgestone tires, they weren't gonna cut it in the off-road conditions I was looking to tackle. So I spooned on a set of the Midas EO7s and I hit the road. This is a 50/50 tire. They handled great getting me on the highway out here, and once I hit the dirt, they gave me the performance I was looking for. Second piece on this is gonna be the suspension. Now, while I love this WP suspension, it begs to mention that when I first picked this bike up, it was set up way too soft for me. Apparently over in England, Triumph feels that a solo rider weighs about 140 pounds. Well, guess what? Here in America, I'm pushing 215, and I need a better suspension setup. Triumph makes adjusting your suspension super simple by just following along the chart that's in their owner's manual. Now, lastly on this, weight and protection. First and foremost, the easiest way to drop some weight from this bike is to go with an aftermarket exhaust. Luckily for us, Triumph sent us over an Aero pipe and reflashed our ECU. As far as protection is concerned,
Up front, the first thing that has to go are these plastic handguards. You want to go to something with an aluminum backbone. It's not going to add too much weight, but it's going to do a world of difference to keep your hands safe in the crash, as well as to protect those expensive levers. Lastly, the engine guards on this. You need something beefier. Yeah, you might pick up a pound or two, but honestly, they're going to be worth it the first time you knock your motorcycle over and you know that not just the bottom of the engine is safe, but the top of the engine and the lower part of the gas tank is going to be safe as well. Now, all in all, I think Triumph did an excellent job with this bike. There's huge improvements over last year's model. Honestly, they threw the kitchen sink at this, and they're giving their competition a reason to be a little bit nervous. Now, if you're like me, you want all the down and dirty facts before buying a new motorcycle. So head over to Common Tread and check out all the details on the XCX I just didn't have time to cover here. If you want to see some more of our bike reviews, subscribe to us at Revzilla TV on YouTube. Thank you for joining us for this look at the Triumph Tiger 800 XCX. I'm Spurgeon. Enjoy the ride.